and welcome once again to Leader Talk, this CNN-IBN special where we bring together icons from the world of sport and the corporate world. Today joining us on Leader Talk are two such heroes. The former Pakistan legendary all-rounder, one of the world's greatest ever cricketers, Wasim Akram, and Bhartia, co-chairman and managing director of Jubilant, one of India's fastest growing corporate houses. Appreciate both of you joining us on Leader Talk. Let me ask you at the start, what does leadership mean for the two of you? What does leadership mean for you, Wasim Akram? When I say someone is a true leader, what for you is the real quality of a leader?
I think I can relate it to sport as cricket, and as you know, cricket is very big in our part of the world. Leadership is all about knowing your troops, knowing what they need, knowing man management, of course, in the end, in cricket as well. It's everything mixed together, and in our sport, in particular in cricket, there's no born leader. You get used to it. There's a born decision maker.
There's no born leader.
No, there's a born decision maker, yes. But in cricket is such a sport where leadership is very important. Captain is very much involved in every decision, and you learn game after game. You've hardly seen, I think rarely we must have seen any new captain coming in and doing well.
That's an interesting point you make. In the corporate world, what for you strikes out as a true corporate leader?
You know, for me, leadership is firstly about being sensitive, being aware of the people who work for you, and also be there when mistakes are made, and not to blame others, because it always happens that mistakes get made and somebody has to own it. So I think leader has to own it, and I think that's the most important part. Lastly, I would say, to allow freedom and empowerment, so that you are not the only leader, but you have other leaders working for you.
Interesting points that you're making at the start. Let me come to specifics. You know, your case study, Wasim Akram, is a wonderful case story of the subcontinent. You're picked up from nowhere, and the next thing we knew, you were playing for Pakistan. How important was the fact that you had Imran picking you up and then mentoring you? Was that critical for anyone? I mean, was he the kind of leader who inspired people like you?
I met Imran before the tournament, champions of the champion, the Ravi Shastri became man of the tournament. That's where I met Imran. And then the minute he saw me, he liked my bowling action. He mentored me all the way, not in general. And Imran told me one thing about leadership is discipline always starts from the top. Because in Pakistan team, we have quite a few discipline issues over the years.
I'm going to come to those discipline issues, but do you believe that if you didn't have an Imran-like figure, your rise wouldn't have been as dramatic and mercurial as it was?
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. I've learned a lot from Imran on and off the field. He gave me a confidence as a cricketer, as a person, and that eventually excelled in my sport, what I did.
Did you have a mentor, Bhartia? You know, it's an interesting story again. You go to IIT. You should have been a chemical engineer. And the next thing we know, you've joined hands with your brother Sham, who was already in business. Was he, in a sense, the guide, the person who brought you into the world of business? Is it important to have that kind of a mentor and guide in the early years of life?
No, definitely. You know, Rajdeep, I come from a Marwadi family. And as you know, it's a business family. So when you are growing up, you are being mentored to be an entrepreneur. You are sitting on the dining table, and there's always a conversation about business, because business becomes integral part of your family. Because when you take risk, actually it looks like the whole family is taking risk. So I would say, to some extent, my father and then my elder brother, whom I worked with, and we are partners together. So they have been good mentors for me.
You know, what is it about the Marwari families of Kolkata? It almost seems that business runs in their genes. You know, you and your brother are a very interesting brother act, if I may call it, you know, and there seems to be a sense of strong family bonds.
I think traditionally, if you really see, we came from Rajasthan, Shekhawati. There's hardly any agricultural production or hardly any activities, barren land. So most of them really migrated very early and started small trading, and almost all of them. And the good thing about community was always they worked with each other. They always helped each other. The trust was huge. If you borrow money from somebody, there was nothing in writing ever. I don't remember 50 years back people writing agreements, because the trust was the most important thing.
Okay, and that's why perhaps an IITian eventually becomes a successful businessman, but trust on the other hand, was something missing in a way in Pakistani cricket. You know, you had a brother act of a different kind, you and Waqar Yunus. Great bowlers. Between you picked over 1,000 international wickets in one-day and test cricket. And yet, on the field, remarkable. Off the field, we always heard these stories of turbulence, of infighting. What was it? I mean, how did you reconcile the fact as a leader that on the field things went swimmingly, but off the field there were so many problems?
I think, first of all, I became captain when I was 24 years old, with no experience of captaining any side. They sacked Javed Miandad, and I was on the West Indies tour. It was too young for me, too early for me, not experienced. And Waqar was also very young, and we were both very competitive. On field, it helped the Pakistan team. He used to get 5 wickets, I used to get 5 wickets from the other end. But off the field, I think we used to listen to our teammates a lot more than to ourselves. So we just started just not liking each other off the field. But now we are fine. I think we retired. I almost retired 10 years ago. But yes, we had some incredible battles off the field as well.
But is that because, Wasim, somewhere the South Asian culture, even in sport, is deeply individualistic? To build a team spirit is very difficult. So, you know, Pakistan, great individual talents, but to get all of you to work together as a team, perhaps only Imran was successful in doing that.
Yes, Imran was, and to the certain extent, I was when I became captain for the 3rd time.
That's right.
In '96. Because by then, I've learned a lot, how to lead the troops properly and how to look after the boys. And if I have to discipline someone, and Waqar was the most difficult one, because, you know, when you're in team sport, if the bus is leaving, if somebody is late once, it's okay. Somebody is late twice, it's okay. And somebody late every time, come late on the bus, it's embarrassing for the captain and for the whole team. And that's where you have to put your foot down. And I've learned that after 2-3 years.
You know, I'm just wondering whether that's true of corporate India, because in your group, for example, you've expanded rapidly. You've gone into all kinds of businesses, from life sciences to aerospace, pharmaceuticals, you know, the food business, and you've got CEOs in each of these businesses. So how do you get all of them to work together as a team? Because we are a deeply individualistic society.
The role of a mentor or a CEO is to really get the best out of you as an individual. So he knows how to deal with you, how to be sensitive to your moods or to what outcomes that you can bring in, and then align them with the team. So these are issues that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
You know, the reason I'm asking you this is because, you know, you've also made that interesting transition from being an old economy business. Your father was in steel wires and chemicals, and then you all move into all these wonderful new areas of the world, pharmaceutical, life sciences. You know, you move into the food business, you move into Domino's pizzas, even though you're a vegetarian, and you're offering the world a pizza. And a pizza is a difficult business to enter in a country like India. So how do you make that transition as a leader into new businesses, into breaking the mold?
So if you look at our food business, we made huge mistakes in the first 10 years, because this was the first time somebody was trying to create a large scale food service business at the corporate level. So I think with those learnings, you change, you bring in systems and practices, and today that business employs almost 25,000 people and is India's largest business.
Do you believe that a leader must learn from every mistake? And you've got to admit those mistakes. It's not enough to simply allow that mistake to go by, but you learn from it and simply become better the next time you do the same thing.
Mistakes are the only platform on which you can build a business, because I don't call it a mistake, really. These are learnings, you know. Learnings from the market, you change, you tweak, and then you find a business model which works, and then you grow on that. And I think that's how the food business grew, because it was first time in India that you're trying to build a network of stores and create a supply chain deep enough to give you safe food. So I think these are issues that you deal with.
And is diversification part of the growth, the fact that you can get into oil and gas exploration and at the same time be in the food business, also be in cutting edge life sciences, get global? Do you believe becoming global is also critical to now visionary leadership in a country like India?
Rajdeep, when India opened up, the Indian industry learned to compete. They learned to innovate, do R&D, make products which were at global cost level. So the only way we could grow is not only in India but go outside. you acquire customers. When you acquire customers outside, you realize that sometimes you have to serve them better by being locally present. So you align yourself. So these things happen when you start opening your mind and customer base globally.
You know, is it easy to open your mind even in the case of Pakistan cricket? I remember Imran famously would say that Pakistan cricket is what it is despite the system. That the system didn't really encourage talent in the way it should have, and yet talent mushroomed. But do you believe that over time, Pakistan cricket has had to realize that it's not enough to simply be a dada in home conditions? You've got to go beyond the subcontinent, do well across the world, think actually much bigger.
Yes, I as a player wanted to perform overseas, especially against Australia, in Australia, especially against England, in England, and that's how you get your confidence as a player that you can compete with anyone in the world on their turf.
Because for the longest time, I thought that all it required for a Pakistani team to be seen as successful was to beat India. Do you believe that's changed?
No, that has definitely changed. It's still the main part of it to beat India, because Pakistan cricket is struggling. Obviously, nobody tours to Pakistan. Pakistan plays hardly any international cricket. Sad to see, because the love of the game is still there, is huge.
Okay, gentlemen, let's take a break at this point. When we return, we'll come back to defining moments in the leadership life of Wasim Akram and Hari Bhartia. You're watching Leader Talk on CNN-IBN. Welcome back. You're watching Leader Talk with legendary Pakistani former captain Wasim Akram and co-chairman of the Jubilant Group, Hari Bhartia. Appreciate both of you being with us. Let's look now at the issue of reinvention. Do you believe that's critical for any group, any business house, to look to reinvent itself every 5-10 years?
No, absolutely. You know, if you look at, we started as a chemical business in the, I would say, late 70s, early 80s. So our challenge was to convert a chemical company into a global life science company. We were a small Indian player, hardly 5 people doing research. Today we have 1,200 people doing research. So the transformation was to be a cutting edge, leader in technology, the lowest cost producer in the world, and be able to compete with the best.
And benchmark yourself to global standard.
Absolutely. We were probably the 15th player in the world in some of our products. Today we are number 1, 2, or maybe 3 in some cases. So I think that was the transformation that we had to do.
You know, I'm just wondering whether Wasim Akram, a cricketer, needs to reinvent himself or, you know, because you have to simply get wickets or score runs. Do you have to reinvent yourself as a leader, as a player constantly?
You have to learn new tricks. We came out with reverse swing, and now everybody knows what it is. For batsmen, if you see in T20, the couple of new deliveries are out. It's a slow ball. Bouncer is there, a lot more slow balls. I remember when I started playing cricket as a fast bowler in 1990, 91, somebody told me, why don't you learn the slow ball? I looked at him with big stare. I'm a fast bowler. I'm not going to bowl a slow ball. But eventually, after 2 years, I learned to bowl the slow delivery.
Was reverse swing simply because of that? That you realized that if you had to go to the next level, you needed to come up with something new? I mean, you had the deadliest Yorker for the longest time. Why do you then need to reinvent yourself and then bring in a reverse swing as well?
Because with reverse swing, your Yorkers are more
lethal.
More lethal and more accurate is the word. Because reverse swing is easier to control than a normal swing. And me and Bakar learned it from Imran. And then we taught everyone around the world that what reverse swing all about. Our first 5 years, we got lots of wickets. Nobody knew what was happening. But eventually, they got the hang of it.
You're making it sound all very easy. I mean, I pity those batsmen who had to face it. Their toes were in danger half the time. But succession, how important is that for leadership, Hari Bhartia, to prepare the next generation?
The succession is very important. And people, your own children must realize there is a difference between ownership and management. They may have ownership, but they may not have management. They may not be interested in managing. They are not capable of managing. So I think when you create succession, you, first of all, very important is to train them how to be a good owner. That means they must realize there are people better than them who can manage better. and they should respect that. Otherwise, they should sell out and go away, because it's very important for business to be sustainable.
Wasim bhai, if I asked you for your proudest moment as a leader, would you look at the 1992 World Cup, winning the World Cup with those two wonderful deliveries? Because that was a great individual achievement in a sense. Or would you look at beating India and India as a captain of the Pakistan team as your greatest achievement? I've often wondered whether a sportsman looks at individual achievement as his defining moment, or do you look at team achievement?
I think if you're a leader, it's a team achievement matters to me. And I think India tour was very important for us. We knew that it'll be a tough job, and Madras Chennai tests where Sachin got 100 and we won that test match by 10 runs in the end. It was the closest and the most interesting test match I played in as a captain or as a player.
You know, what for you has been your proudest moment? As you know, it's easier in a sports person's life to mark those achievements, almost winning the World Cup, defeating India and India. It's perhaps more difficult in the corporate world to single out an achievement. But if you were to look back at your career in the business world, what would that one achievement for you that gives you a sense of pride?
I think if I really look at our different businesses, the most important thing that we could achieve was really that transformation from the license Raj, where you were dependent on technology from outside, to become your own creator of new science and technology. That self-dependence, you know, that your ability that you can, you know, innovate and do new things yourself and be a leader in the products that you manufacture. I think that transformation happened partly because India also opened up. You know, we learned how to compete. I think not only for us, probably I believe, I think that was the most important transformation in business that happened in India.
Let me give the final word to our guest from Pakistan. What do you enjoy more, coming to India as a player, or now as a commentator, as a coach, and in all these other avatars? Do you feel a lot more relaxed as a sports person? Because after having played the game, then while you were playing it, because I guess you've got to find life after retirement. You retired at 37, and one of the challenges for a sports person is how do you reinvent yourself after retirement?
Yeah, and obviously I started a couple of businesses, not me, but a couple of my partners obviously didn't do well. So I realized then, for me, I have to do only thing I know, and that is cricket. So that was the next best thing I could do. But yes, coming to India is always being fun, a lot more fun now. I can roam around freely, but coming as a player was a different fun. I remember in 1987 when I came to India first time with Imran as a captain. We were in Bombay at Parmeshwar's house for dinner. When everybody walked in, I was just gobsmacked. For me, it was the ultimate to come to India and play against India on Indian soil and meet everyone you see on television, see on TV screens.
That's right. Well, all I can say is that all those Indian batsmen who had to face you over the years still have nightmares about facing Wasim Akram, perhaps the greatest left-arm fast bowler the world has ever seen. Hari Bhartia, credit to you and your company for what you've done. Both of you, it's been a pleasure having you on Leader Talk. Thank you very much. That was Leader Talk. We'll be back next week with another episode. Thanks for watching.